So welcome everybody to this latest video on 162 Maths, and in this video we're going over a quick topic test with a collection of some GCSE exam style questions on ratio and proportion at foundation level. Now a copy of the questions for you to have an attempt at before watching through this video is available for you to download by clicking on the link in the description, which I strongly recommend you do to see how much understanding you have on this topic. Now, before we work through this test, it's worth noting that there is no indication about whether these questions are calculator or non-calculator questions. So we'll just assume that they are non-calculator. However, I would probably say that a lot of them are going to be calculator questions. So if you find that some of the calculations are taking that little bit longer, then it should be made a little bit quicker because you've got access to a calculator, even though it doesn't say it. So let's get started on question 1. So question 1 says that the workers in a company are in the ratio of female to male and the ratio of 1 to 4.5. And the question is asking what fraction of the workers are female. Now the difference between a ratio and a fraction is that in a ratio you're comparing one part to another part, and in a fraction you're comparing one part to the overall total. So here we're looking for the fraction of females. So here it's going to be where we've got the number of parts, which in this case is 1. And we've got the total, which is where I add these two numbers up. So that's going to be 5.5. Now in a fraction, you tend not to have decimals in there. So we need to write it so that it's not a decimal. So here we're going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 2. So then that becomes 2, which is 1 times 2, and 5.5 times 2 is 11. So here we've got the fraction of 2 over 11. Now if you multiply both numbers by 10, you would then simply just add up with 10 over 55, which does again simplify to give you 2 over 11. Always make sure that you try and simplify your fractions. Moving on to B, it says that the company has 150 female workers. How many workers are there altogether? So we know that the 150 equals 2 parts. And there are 11 parts, so 2 parts are female, and there are a total of 11 parts. So if 150 equals 2 parts, then 75 is going to equal 1 part, and then 11 parts, I wrote 7 there, so then 11 parts are going to be 11 times 75, which gives me an answer of 825. For question 2, it says that the a to b is equal to 2 to 7 and a squared equals 36. Work out the two possible values of b. So looking at this second bit of information, we know that a squared equals 36. So therefore a equals positive 6 or minus 6. So when a equals 6, then that's going to be basically then a equals 2 parts. So here, let's just write a equals 2 parts and b equals 7 parts. So therefore, 1 part is going to equal 3. And so therefore, 7 parts are going to be 3 times 7, which is 21. So that's one possible answer I could have. Now when a equals minus 6, then 1 part is going to equal minus 3, and 7 parts is therefore going to be 7 times minus 3, which is minus 21. So the two possible answers you could have for B are going to be 21 or minus 21. Moving on to question 3, it says that a box contains 192 pens. They are red, green or blue. A quarter of the pens are red, and the ratio of green pens to blue pens is 1 to 8. How many blue pens are there? So first of all, what we need to do is work out, looking at the information that we're given, we know that a quarter of the pens are red, so let's work those out first. So the red pens is going to be a quarter of 192. So to work that out, I'm just going to do a quarter times 192, or 192 divided by 4 times 1, and that gives me an answer of 48 red pens. So the pens that are left, in other words the green and blue pens, is going to equal 192 minus 48, which gives me 144 pens. Now what I need to do is I need to share that 144 in the ratio of 1 to 8. So here I've got 1 plus 8, which is 9, and then 144 divided by 9, which gives me 16. So 1 part equals 16. So then green pens to blue pens is 1 to 8. So then I just multiply 8 times 16, which gives me an answer of 128. Moving on to question 4, it says circle the equation of y as a function of x. Now when you've got this, what you want to tend to do is we can convert each of these as a fraction. So x over y is simply going to be 5 over 1, which then simplifies as x over y equals 5. Now I want to make y the subject, so if I take y over to this side, I get x equals 5y, and then if I then take y or 5 over to this side because I want to make y the subject, I end up with x over 5 equals y, and that is the second option. Then with 4b it says show that x plus y to x minus y it can be written as 3 over 2. Well, here looking at this ratio here, we know that x equals 5 and y equals 1. So x plus y equals 6 and x minus y is going to be 4. So then we've got 6 to 4, which then simplifies to 3 to 2, and there is our final answer. Moving on to question 5, it says that 90 hazelnuts have a mass of 125 grams. Hazelnuts have 360 calories per 100 grams, and the question is asking us to work out the number of calories per a hazelnut. Now there's several ways in which you can do this, but I'm just going to do it one way that simply comes to my head. So let's first of all work out how many calories there are in 1 gram. So how many calories in 1 gram of hazelnuts? Now to do that, all I need to do is 360 divided by 100. So I'm moving the decimal point 2 places, and that equals 6.3 calories per gram. Now what I've then got is 90 hazelnuts. So for the calories in 90 hazelnuts, which is basically 125 grams, is going to be 6.3 times 125. Now if I do that, what do I get? Well, let me just quickly type that into a calculator. So 6.3 times 125, and that gives me an answer of 787.5. So that's how many calories there are in 90 hazelnuts. So to work out how many calories there are per hazelnut, I'm going to do 787.5 divided by 90. And if I divide that answer by 90, I get an answer of 8.75. And there is my final answer. Moving on to our last question, which is question 6. It says that Jake and Kim share some money in the ratio of 1 to 3. Kim gets £90 more than Jake. How much does Kim get? Well, looking at this, we can see that the difference between the two parts is going to be 2 parts. So 2 parts is the difference. And it says that the difference in money is £90. So if 2 parts equals £90, then 1 part is going to be £45. And so if we want to work out how much does Kim get, well, Kim equals 3 parts. And so Kim will get 3 lots of 45, which gives me an answer of 135.